ease the burdens on those that live here. We're so grateful for all that thou blesses us with, and the opportunity we have to live in a nation that is free, and the opportunity to come to meetings like this and participate. And these things we humbly ask in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Trevor? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Has anybody got any opening statements? Seeing none, the minutes of our November 14th meeting. Do you have any additions or corrections or any comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve them as they are.
I make a motion we approve the minutes from November 14th, 2023.
I second that motion.
I have a motion and a second discussion of that motion to approve the minutes. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Is there any follow-up items that we don't have on our agenda now or anything we need to follow up with this? I see none. Okay, let's go on to the next item, IGP waivers. Trevor, do you have them or?
Yeah, we got 3 of them, all for basketball for a total of $150. I make a motion we approve them.
Okay, motion to approve the IGP waivers.
And this is going to come out of the CUHD grant.
I second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve the IGP waivers. Discussion of that motion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you. Next item, discussion of possible approval of Resolution 23-12-05, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Millard County approving the appointment of an interim county assessor to the MCAT board. Pat, do you want to explain a little bit what we're doing here? And I think we've heard, but go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Laura wasn't able to be here today, but this is just, it's part of the assessor's affiliate group. This is an interlocal entity created by agreement between the 29 counties. They provide all of the county assessors with technological support and just help them to maintain a uniform method for assessing and collecting those taxes. And this is that board, and each of the counties appoints an individual to represent that county on that board. Historically, we have appointed the assessor to that board, which kind of makes sense.
Okay. Thank you. To the commission, any discussion or additions? You need any more information?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 23-12-05.
I second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to the motion to approve the resolution 23-12-05. Any more discussion to that? If not, I need a roll call vote, excuse me.
Okay, call for roll call vote. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes. I need a sign there too. What is the date today? 5th. Thank you. Next item of business, discussion and possible approval of writing off outstanding balance at landfill. I guess, Trevor, are you prepared to go ahead and present that?
So we have a company out of Lehigh, Caveman Concrete. Didn't pay their bill, so we sent them to collections. And collections, or Bonneville Collections, was able to collect a portion of it, but not all of it. So of that $500 bill, Millard County is going to get $118.40. Bonneville collected, kept a portion of theirs, and so it leaves a remainder of $217.60 that we need to waive or write off.
Okay.
And did Bonneville say why they didn't get all of it?
No, I didn't get that information.
Has the business gone broke or something, or just didn't get it maybe?
There's a lot of problem with out-of-town companies coming in and doing work and not paying. It's a big issue. We've got, everybody locally does okay, but it's the out-of-towns come in and then just skip out and try to collect, so. But I make a motion, we waive or write off the outstanding balance of $217.60.
I'll second that motion. Seems like there's nothing else we can do, so.
I have a motion and a second that we waive the outstanding balance for the landfill. Any discussion, any more discussion or comments? That motion, seeing none? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The next item, discussion and possible approval of Ugly Mud Business selling alcohol out of the Millard County Golf Course.
She's on her way.
You want to come up and start that discussion, or? Sure. Okay, maybe you can give us the information we need.
While we're waiting for
I
her
don't-
for a minute.
Okay, go ahead. Just go ahead and sit
We
down.
need to come up with something when we're issuing conditional use permits or building permits or something to make people pay a down payment towards the landfill.
Well, I don't know if we got a problem continually. I mean, we've got a few, but I don't know if it's a,
It's usually these smaller ones that they could be in the city doing a home repair. I know with the IPP stuff that's going on, they've had problems and had to kind of press, but then everybody ends up paying, but it's the small companies that, you know, trying to save a buck, think they'll just bring it up. And so it is an issue we've got to address somehow, but it's not extremely bad either.
Yeah, I mean, if it only happens once in a while, it's
Yeah.
not that bad.
well, I think with any of these companies that require a conditional use permit, the landfill has to check off on that, don't they, Pat? I mean, the sheriff, the fire, does the landfill part of that?
Yeah, but I think the question is just, is there a way that we could collect some of that up front as part of the conditional use permit fee? And I don't know the answer to that. Adam would be a lot better able to address that than I would.
Yeah.
I think it would require some changes, at least to policy, possibly to our ordinance.
Well, we got a lot of construction that don't require conditional use, like
I know we
homes and all
talked
that
about
kind of
it
stuff, okay?
for Fillmore City, maybe doing it, but there's some hang up on how much you charge them and how do you be consistent, and even if you can do that for a home construction, it may not even be legally possible to put that in a conditional use permit for like home type things. Because we did look into it a little bit on figuring on how to get compensated by Fillmore City for the Fillmore City landfill, and we ran into some issues about tying that into a conditional use permit.
Okay, anything else? Ron, Casey, do you want to bring us up to speed and tell
Well,
us?
I'm just here for moral support, but I can just kind of give you the info.
Okay,
State your name for the audience.
yeah.
Oh, Casey Fouls. So, in the extra space, well, the kitchen area for the golf course, we've decided to lease that out to the Ugly Mug, and they've been running just getting going, running their business out of there, and she is interested in getting a beer license to be able to sell beer to the golfers this coming year, so that's what she's here for. In my opinion, I don't know, I don't know what all the information, I don't even know, maybe a question for Pat, I know there's a county policy against the county doing it, but I'm not sure where she's leasing out her own.
The policy just isn't necessarily about what the county or and a vendor would do. The policy is just with respect to having alcohol on county property, so we probably need to look at that.
Do you know what our policy says? Would this be
Yeah,
contrary to
no
the
alcohol on county property.
county property?
It does state that.
Well, we'd have to get rid of a lot of things if that's the case.
Well, that's one of my questions was gonna be how many people are bringing it on anyways, right?
It's, yeah, and honestly, in my opinion, I think it would be beneficial to the county because, yeah, there's a lot of people that bring it on that we don't know or, just put it in their golf bag and bring it out there, and we have no way of controlling it. At least with someone licensed selling it, there would be a way of controlling it, and, if there was, I think the liability shifts to them, not, and it actually takes a lot of the liability off of us. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but.
I just don't look at it as a huge liability exposure either way, but just from a policy standpoint, I think it would require us to amend that policy, which is fairly easy to do. I think you could carve that out pretty easily if you wanted to do that.
Do you know with other golf courses around the state sell beer?
Everyone,
Oh, okay.
except for us.
No, Silver doesn't.
Fillmore doesn't, there you go. The main issue that, that people have is, when you have a beer license, you have to have there's pretty tight rules and stipulations. You gotta have someone 21 that's working there to be able to sell it, right? You can't have any, people underage working at your deal if you're selling alcohol, so, yeah, 99% of the golf courses do sell it, so.
I guess my opinion that we did no research behind this and not aware. The questions I had is what is our county policy now, which has been stated?
Yeah.
And if we decided to change that county policy, how would that impact all our other events? And so I'm assuming unless the commissioners we're not in a position to probably act on this again. It's right now today, it's good to bring it to our attention, but we got racetrack, we got rodeo, we got all kinds of other events that
Well, I know the
we'd have to
rodeo
change the policy and
would like
everything
to
else.
be able to have a beer tent, but that's actually Delta City property, but
So maybe we ought to get in the discussion at some point in time. I don't
It's
think,
county property, it's just in Delta City.
oh, okay. So, but don't they still kind of have jurisdiction over that?
They have zoning jurisdiction, but it's county property, so our policy would apply there too.
But they would have to approve it also, wouldn't they?
And I don't know what their zoning would say, I don't know if they would even have an issue with it, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Yeah, if there was if it required some kind of zone change, then you had to have to go through Delta City.
And I don't know if there's a way to, amend the policy to say, hey, if a vendor, if it's someone else operating it besides the county. I thought it was just the county couldn't sell it.
Not possession, that's what our policy is about, it's not selling it, it's just having it on county property. There's just a general kind of blanket prohibition on even having it.
Well, it's a good thing that's not enforced everywhere.
Half your golfers would be gone?
Wow, a lot of,
Especially now, probably.
yeah, a lot of, everything would be gone. I'm sure that we're not the only place that people bring it in.
The rodeo's the same thing.
Yeah, and I'm not, arguing for or against, I'm just, there's people that, it's part of their lifestyle and, yeah, a lot of people at the golf course take part.
so I would suggest that the commission basically work with Pat, look at the policy, and at a time in the future, if we feel it is necessary, feel that we need to maybe look at making some changes because of this, so commissioners, how do you feel? What
I think
action do you want to take?
I think we need to look at the policy, see about changing it.
Okay.
And we need to do it probably sooner than later.
Yeah, we need to do this sooner than that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's like I said, I think it, and it sounds, to start selling alcohol at the golf course, I know that sounds whatever, but I think it actually takes a lot of the liability off of us, because right now we have no way of controlling that, you know what I mean?
Okay, Sam,
Yeah, it's theirs.
It's Whitney's thing, but I'm just curious, do you know or could you find out about other county-run golf courses? And just kind of give us an idea?
Yeah.
Maybe that actually-
And there's a lot of like, so like for,
Or the municipal golf courses?
yeah, Palisade, which is state-owned, they had they leased out their restaurant area, and she had a liquor license, not a liquor license, beer license. I think that's a different type of thing. So, I mean, a lot of the situations are different. I don't know that any, I'll have to find out to see if any, like, actually counties or, you know, cities or whoever owns the golf courses actually sell the beer, or if it's just, you know, if they're all leased, but,
That, like in Juab County, I don't know what their policy is, but I know you see a lot of open carry, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Used to be.
yeah,
They're not hiding them in Hearts Cups. like they do.
no.
I don't think there's any enforcement going on.
Well, I don't know if their policy allows it, but I would.
So right now, what we're saying is it's prohibited on, regardless of whether it's a vendor or whether they bring it, our policy, it's prohibited on county property.
Yeah, all policies
Okay.
and property policies, no alcohol
I
on
think
property.
we maybe need to look and see how that applies, and maybe there might be an avenue for vendors or something like that.
And that's what that's
And we need to
would be
work
my
with
suggestion.
tourism, and I think this would affect a lot more people than just the golf course. So maybe we could start that discussion and see how applicable it might be, and I guess have a good reason why we would or wouldn't do it. I can think of a lot of reasons why we wouldn't, and I can think of reasons why we would. And I think those reasons, one needs that way or the other.
Yeah, and
There's plenty of reasons why our policy's in place now, and I think that serves us well, and we need to just look at what's happening, and if that will continue to, I'm sure the sheriff, I mean, it's not a big problem like with maybe as much as a golf course, but you get other activities where there's lots of participants, the rodeo and racetrack and stuff like this, our sheriff, surely public safety has something to say about what's happening and that, so,
Well, if you've ever golfed, I mean, I think we can pretty safely say that formally allowing alcohol at the golf course won't change one thing.
okay.
It won't result in an increased public safety risk.
I don't know if it will at the rodeo either.
Honestly, I think it decreases it, in my opinion, just because
Well,
there's
and
no,
I understand that, and that brings us, so should we, if we have a policy, where should we or should we not make exceptions?
Yeah,
You know
so-
what I mean?
and that's like-
Because in some places, we maybe shouldn't, maybe some places we should. That's the question I ask, is it justify an exception here rather than a blanket policy?
does it have to be blanket? I guess that would be the
No,
question.
we can make exceptions.
I think
so.
we ought to look at Juab counties and a few other counties and see.
I can look at, I mean, like Beaver City, I know they sell, their golf course sells, I'll just find out.
Why don't you look, and then Pat can help us arrange this, you know, he can give us some good insight on maybe a direction.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll just get some info on other operations.
all right.
That are around and kind of go from there.
So we'll just go on to the next item on the agenda without any,
Will you take any public comment on that?
well, you can come up and comment right now. Come on up. We're not that busy, so go ahead and, because this affects, I mean, we're talking about one, how many events do we want? Like Pat says, it might not hurt, but do we want this, how does this affect other events? And maybe we want to give them also a pass or not, I don't know. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, well, all I wanted to bring up, and Commissioner Johnson was there, Rachel and I, the sheriff, we all met with Delta City, because we knew that was gonna be a problem, trying to look at a beer garden for the rodeo, because you're gonna have to license through Delta City. And so we met with them. They were gonna start looking at the possibility of drafting an ordinance for the city. Golf course is annexed into the city, isn't it now?
I don't believe
The
so.
golf course is carved out.
Okay, it's carved around it, okay.
Carved out.
So
it's
that's
still
gonna be different then.
Okay.
But as you start looking at that policy, it's gonna require Delta City involved, at least for the racetrack, the golf course. Biggest thing that, or the rodeo, biggest thing that Delta City didn't want it to become a blanket policy, so everybody's running to them to get a beer license. And everything, at the fair building, every little thing going on, they're trying to get a beer license and a beer license. So that would be something that's gonna have to be worked out between the attorneys and how that's gonna be isolated to just certain events.
Yeah, that's something Delta City has to determine though,
So the
but,
Delta City involvement is just the license itself, just
Yeah.
the business license or the beer license, but it's still the county's policy, and I'm telling you, it won't be hard to carve out exceptions for venues or for events. That's a pretty easy thing to do. You guys just kind of decide which of those you think it ought to be, and there's enough, if we can ensure public, and that's pretty easy to carve out the exceptions.
And I can see, where you don't want it to, the whole reason behind it is you don't want it to end up in the wrong hands, underage kids and stuff like that. That would be probably the fear. I don't know, Kev, what do you?
Yeah, and that's what the sheriff's big worry about it was, is how it's gonna be administered. Are you gonna put, somebody that kind of watches?
Yeah.
well, don't they have to show ID, just like when they go to the store? and buy
Yeah,
anything?
it's pretty, I think it's pretty, we're in Utah, so it's pretty rigorous, and the stipulations are pretty, they're pretty tight as far as what they can do, what they can't do, ID and all that type of stuff. It's pretty, the regulations, I think, are pretty strict as far as what they can do, but.
And then I think the other point come up is, where's gonna be the limit that Whitney would have to have for insurance to make sure, and what liability, once, something happens and they sue her, they're also gonna sue probably the county on top of that if something happened, and, make sure that you're covered license or liability wise all the way through.
Yeah, and I think they have to do all that type of stuff to have that in place.
But
so.
is a store liable if they sell beer to somebody and they get in a wreck? I don't think they're liable, are they?
There's something called dram shop liability. They can be under certain circumstances if they sell to somebody that they have been intoxicated, or there's a few things like that. But typically, no, and really, the county would be, we wouldn't have a ton of exposure.
Yeah.
They'd sue us, but we'd be fairly easy.
And that's where, all the not all the issues, some of the issues we've had in the past at the golf course is where, we have no way of controlling it, and so guys go all day out in the heat, and who knows how much has been consumed, and then the issues happen at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Whether it's, arguments in the parking lot, or a few things like that I've seen in the past, and it all stems from, no control throughout the day. And it's hard, because we can't, we don't have the staff or the ability to go search everyone's golf bag that comes in, and whether they bring it in or what they're doing, you know what I mean? Most people, there's a lot of people that have their own carts, and so it's kind of, just one of those things that.
I don't know if you legally can search people's golf bags, though, can you?
So, you're talking about control, so if we did proceed and found a way to allow that, would you prohibit any golfers from bringing their own product?
That would be,
Would that be part of it?
Yeah,
That
that
you
would
would
be part of
prohibit
it.
it? So
So the reason,
they have to buy it there. Okay.
for her.
Because you're talking about control, and I'm trying to just.
Yeah,
So
again.
how do we do that?
I've been at multiple golf courses. Everywhere we've been, we have a sign, we have whatever that says, hey, you can't bring in any outside alcohol, but that doesn't,
Yeah, if you want it, you get it here.
it doesn't stop people, from bringing.
Prohibit people from bringing their own food.
Yeah, it's just it's the same concept. For her, the goal would be, and part of the reason that we want to see her succeed at the golf course, and I think that's one way for her to succeed, is to be able to sell that type of thing, just provide, people there the opportunity to do there rather than have to drive to Maverick or, because that is a question, like most of the tournaments we have, from people from outside will ask, hey, do you sell alcohol? And I said, no, it's, you gotta drive to Maverick, a couple miles down the road. So it would just be, for her, the way I think she's looking at it is just an extra revenue stream, so.
Well, that's understandable.
Yeah. And so for us, I mean, we would like to, it's a good deal for the county to have her in there, to have her running that. It decreases our expenses, increases our revenue, and, it's just a local business that we would like to see succeed. I know I would, so take some of the burden off of us, and hopefully would take some of the liability too.
Okay, thanks for the discussion. We'll proceed. We found out one thing, if we're going to do anything, we're going to have to change our county policy. That's what we found out. We'll work on that, okay? All
And
right.
I'll get, you just want me to email you as far as?
Yeah, get with us and Pat, just include
Just send you
all
the
this.
info?
Yeah, the this, and then,
Like,
Yeah.
10 of the local municipalities, how they run
Sure.
their alcohol.
Yeah.
any assessment you can give us will be helpful.
Okay,
And, I mean, you know them better than we do. I mean, it's
yeah,
rather than we have, and then Pat can give us some direction on,
okay,
at least, if we do something, we'll have to get a resolution written up. And
okay.
We'll just
And
tell her,
we-
don't sell beer to somebody that's already drunk.
Well, that's where it is. I mean, if there is a, I think there's pretty tight rules as far as that, because that's where her liability would come if she's already sold someone 12 beers or however many beers, and she can stop it at any point and say, all right, no, and that's where I think her,
Okay.
the liability for her would come in. Where right now, we have no way of knowing or what goes on or how much. At least we would have some control, I
Okay,
guess.
thank you.
Yep.
And I know
Thanks,
if they go
Kevin.
with that, I think you're gonna see the rodeo committee come and see if Whitney wouldn't.
Well, this
Yeah,
is,
sell
this
at the-
is, this is what we need to explore, is how broad.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna have to work with tourism, we're gonna have to look at a broader picture and how we want to,
Sure.
if we want to, and how we want to set this out, because it's not just gonna be this, because then we're gonna have other implications. So that gonna give us I mean, we'll do it sooner than later, but it don't have to be done today. So let's go ahead and, it's good you brought it to our attention that we're not in May and, okay, having to do it right now.
We
So
get more
thank you.
people causing fights over their, lying on their handicap probably than we do.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, they don't do that.
But generally, it's after a few, too. Most people are level-headed.
Kevin, you can just stay there. We're gonna
Okay,
get
I'll
to you.
grab my paper.
We're gonna get to you in a minute. Next item, discussion possible approval of a business license, Blue Pine Lawn and Pest. Do you have that, Kayla, or what?
When I talked to Marky before I went over, she said the sheriff's office had it.
So we don't have the application. Pat, can we approve it without the application here, or we need it?
We gotta make sure it's all signed, don't we?
Okay, we'll go, put that on the next meeting, we'll go to the next item of business. Kevin, we're on you. Discussion and possible approval accepting a bid that is not the lowest representative bid or sole source for a UTV for tourism.
Yeah, so when we met with the board, we've got a couple of things coming up next year that we're gonna need multiple units to take people out on the desert.
Okay?
We have the money funded in tourism to do so. We started exploring this unit. There's only one in the state, and it's held by Prime over here. So we went and looked at it. It's actually got a lot more safety features on it now. They're self-leveling, so if you get on a side hill, it levels itself.
So you don't roll it over like you did?
So you don't roll it over like I did.
Tell them it was the terrain's fault.
Okay.
And so there's some features on it we really liked, and so we started, when I talked to Bonnie about it, said get 3 competitive bids. So I went out looking for that. nobody's got one, nobody can bid on it, 'cause they don't know when they could get one, what the shipping is gonna be and stuff. So I got a price from Brian on it, and then I thought, okay, I'll do the next thing that.
You only need one unit? Or-
Yeah.
Okay,
We've already got the one.
you've got one, you need
Yeah,
one more.
One more. So I went and took the next one unit down and priced it out through 3 different companies, just to see how Brian compared to those. He beat them by over $1,000, so I think he's being fair with us on this, one unit. So that's what I'm here today for, is see if you will approve it as a single source or a,
Have you got the numbers on there?
yeah, it's $35,654.
Okay. Back to the commission for discussion, questions.
I think we need it.
So what we're doing is just approving a purchase that we don't, as Kevin's explained, do not have the capability to go out and get bids on.
And he's got it in his
So we can-
budget, so.
Yeah,
So what our policy says is that in this tier, which is the intermediate tier, 1575, he can get electronic bids, but the commission always has to approve a sole source procurement. So you just need to basically make findings on the record that this is the only reasonable source for the equipment that he needs. Or if you feel like there is another reasonable source, you just need to approve, similarly make findings for why it makes sense to go with someone other than the low bid. But it sounds like this is either the low bid or the no bid.
Yeah.
sounds like it's a little bit.
Yeah, I'd have to go out of state to try to find
In other
anybody
words,
who
you
could bid
can't
on
find
it.
other comparisons, so it's a little bit anyway compared to the
It
others.
would be a sole source. The commission just needs to make findings on the record that it's a sole source.
Kevin, do we need two? I mean, you will have two then. So I'm sure you're getting it for another event.
Well, yeah, during the
Will you plan on
Jamboree,
continuing to keep two, or will this replace the one that's already there?
no, we'll keep two.
Okay,
We do quite a bit with different companies that come down and do some filming for us. And generally, when you do that, you're taking photographer,
yeah, more than one
other
or two
people, and then we want to invite others to come because you want more people in the shots. And in the past, we've just begged, borrowed, and whatever we could find to get somebody, to come with us. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And liability-wise, when we're doing that, of having other people or borrowing somebody's rig, probably isn't the ideal thing for liability. If we're this way, it just protects us, and then we can have our board. They want to be more involved than they've been, and this will help get them. We can have some not meetings, but we can take them out to
take more people.
some of these places so they understand what we're really up against.
I have a question for Bonnie. Bonnie, will we take this out of capital like a regular vehicle, or is this basically out of their tourism budget?
Tourism budget.
Tourism budget, okay. It's not part of capital. So back to any more questions? I need any more questions?
So this is Prime Sports, is that the name of the company?
Yeah.
I make a motion that we accept the bid from Prime Sports as sole source.
Second.
I have a motion and second. We accept the bid as a sole source. Discussion of that motion? Any other questions? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Okay, thank you.
Adam, next, discussion and possible approval of letters of support for UDOT grant applications. Adam's got some possible grants, and he just needs to present them to us.
Kind of. So there's actually two separate grants that I wanted to talk about, and both would need a letter of support. And both involve UDOT, but the first is UDOT has funds that they set aside for transportation planning assistance. They refer to those as TPA grants. And there's a little over $1 million that's set aside annually. and entities can come and ask for access to those funds to do transportation master plans, which we did this last year and received some funding, or to do other types of planning that would involve transportation, things like general plans and so forth. The state has mandated that our subdivision ordinances will all be updated across the state, so that that process of approving subdivisions will actually not happen through an elected or an appointed body anymore. It's going to go through staff. So there's some changes that the state has told us that they're making, and there are funds that the state has decided to make available, in addition to the regular transportation planning assistance funds that are there, where we have several projects coming up this year that we'd like to do, including the general plan update, and we are finishing our transportation master plan. We have the option to go and to pursue those funds again. It's not typical that they would give them to the same entity 2 years in a row, especially on big projects, because everyone across the whole state applies for those funds and they are limited. I did have some interesting conversations where it was expressed that there would be support for another Millard County application to go after transportation planning assistance funds. And so the deadline is the 7th. We have some template letters that we could put together very quickly, but there would be letters of support, basically that Millard County supports this application and the basis for, or the need for Millard County to have updates. Pretty simple, but it should be obviously brought to the board before we send a letter out from the board. So wanted to bring that forward and see if there would be willingness to support that application. The second application is actually federal funds that are allocated. Congress allocates funds through the states for also transportation projects in rural areas and small urban areas. And that goes through, it's passed down through, and there's a joint highway committee, but UDOT basically helps administer those projects.
Will that grant go to your office, or will it go to the road department?
It goes to the county. It
Will
was
the
awarded to the
county, and we can put it where we want, or?
No, you have to be pretty specific, and you have to identify a project. So the Joint Highway Committee is made up of other representatives.
I guess the question is it going to go to planning, or can we do it for actual?
Well, we've got to say, Mother May I, here's our project. And so what we were looking at doing previous was the Jones Road, where we have very little shouldering on the sides of Jones Road and a high traffic volume. And we see that being, maybe it's at a peak right now, hopefully, but it's going to be prolonged, extensive use on that road. And just for long-term safety, to put shouldering along that road, we could use our own road funds to do that. It would be awfully nice if someone wanted to.
Correct, we can do both then.
Oh, yeah, we can put, yeah, so that's.
We can use it for actual
But once
construction or planning.
Well, there's two separate. The one is strictly for planning, so there's one letter for one application. The other, when we ask for money to improve along Jones Road, that will be earmarked, and those funds will be administered very carefully. They're federal funds, so there's a little bit of paperwork to match up and prove that what you spent, where it got spent, and document that, and that's a separate one. So I'm asking for both of those letters of support if that would be acceptable to this body.
You might not know yet, but what kind of dollars you're talking about with these grants? What's the?
Well, we would probably.
What's the potential, I guess?
Well, that's a very good question. So the Jones Road, I believe is in the order, I want to say it was a couple $100,000 that we were pursuing.
Okay.
I'll have to go back and review those numbers. The planning assistance grant is probably in the neighborhood. If we ask, there is a match on that one. There's a minimum match that's usually 6 2/3%. They give you stronger consideration if you have a higher match. We've traditionally done 10% from us. Right now, we already have the whole thing budgeted. So it's everything that we budgeted for this next year for those planning
You have the match in your budget
projects.
already.
Yeah, so the match is already there, but we'd be asking for probably about $80,000 to $90,000 and see what they actually give us, but ask probably a little bit high, and then we could expand and go even more with our other funds if we chose, if we're awarded. So
Okay.
80 to 90 on the one, and the other I think is a couple hundred, but I'd have to go double check the numbers. It's been a little while since I've looked at them, I apologize.
Okay, to the commission, Questions? Clarification?
I think they sound like good grants to me.
I know there's been discussion with me and Bill about helping out that shoulder out to Jones Road anyway, so if this,
I think we're going to do both projects eventually on our own, and if we get other funds, that frees up monies for,
Particularly now and in the future, we're going to continue to get greater use on that road, even after construction's gone. So we've talked about that before. If it would help us, then that would be helpful to us to make the improvements on there to bring that up to where it's supposed to be.
even for officer safety, when people get pulled over on that road, there's really not room to pull a vehicle off. So it's,
Well, that becomes a problem, particularly on that. You talk about how much shoulder you need, but with the extra patrol on there, they're pulling a lot of people off. And we know there's safety driving, but as we see what happens, what's real safety is an officer have someone pulled over and get run into. That happens quite often. So along that stretch, we need enough room that the public safety can function and be able to get cars off the road when they have someone pulled over. So obviously that'll be helpful to that road. So any more discussion, or I need a motion for Adam to proceed or do what you want to do?
we just, yeah, I support it.
I support it.
Okay.
and I can help with get those letters drafted,
Well,
maybe
that's
signed by.
my next question. You'll get those letters drafted and then have just Pat do a once-over and look at them, and then we're good. Okay?
Sure,
All
okay.
right, okay.
I don't know if I caught the conversation earlier on YouTube, but I wasn't quite here for the landfill discussion. I heard that get talked about a little bit. If you have one moment, if it's all
Yeah,
right,
go ahead,
I'll
if you
just-
got some comments.
So two things, on both the conditional use permits and the building permits. The conditional use permits, we don't typically collect other funds, but we could specify that they have to make a deposit or that they have to set aside some type of surety that they will to ensure that those get collected. So that could be included in the conditional use permit, but a lot of projects don't require a conditional use permit. They're just allowed to get a regular building permit. As far as building permits go, we can't assess a flat fee for a project unless those are supposed to be actually based on the usage. Those are usage fees, otherwise they refer to as an impact fee, and there's a whole separate mess that goes with those. You can't really do that. But we could require a deposit and then have them track that and do a refund. There's some things that could be done. It would be a little bit more involved. I don't know if we're only writing off a couple $100, if it would be worth the extra effort for people to come in and to pay and then to track it and then to get a refund, and I think there'll be a little bit of pushback, but it
Yeah, we
it
don't
could
want
be
a make
done.
work project, so.
So just, I apologize.
If it doesn't happen very often, there's probably not a need. It's just if it gets so, it's a common occurrence.
I do think that perhaps the landfill, especially, it was mentioned that the out-of-town companies tend to be I'll use the word culprits, that kind of tend to leave without making sure that they're fully paid. On those projects as they're identified, perhaps we could require something set aside in the way of a deposit as they commence their project. And it would be, instead of just blanket requirement, just on a case-by-case on those larger projects as they're identified by the landfill, that there might be a harder time collecting. And I think a lot of the companies on the front end would be willing to do that. Everyone's really, really friendly and happy to make payments on the front end when they're trying to get their project started.
Yeah.
So,
Easier on the front end than afterwards.
yeah.
Well, this is also something we'd have to visit with the cities about too, right? Because we're not,
I think there's a bigger discussion, yeah. But just that it is possible to do those on both those levels.
Yeah.
But it would involve a little bit more bookkeeping, and perhaps maybe we don't need to do it to everybody,
yeah,
so.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just stay there, maybe. I'm going to have Clark. We're going to go to you, and Clark come in and had some business. It concerns the Transwest. I think Adam can help us on this.
So it's going under other business then?
Yes, we are. Public input, other business. Yeah, we're going to public input.
I got a letter that town council had sent to BLM
June of 2022.
If you could wait until you get to the.
Yeah, get you a mic. Clerk, come sit down, and you gotta introduce yourself and give your family history, and then we'll go ahead and turn the time over to you. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for coming, by the way.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thanks for having me, and
State your name, and
I'm Clark Nielsen. I'm here on behalf of Russ Phillips, the current mayor. He was occupied today in another activity, and this letter that I just gave to you is a copy of a letter that was signed by the town council in June of 2022 to the BLM, and the town is against the proposed Trans-West route. We are in favor of a different route that
there's an alternative route, and
Yes.
so,
It's
forgive me, and the route, the town would like him to consider the alternative route, so, go ahead.
I'm here to seek the support of the Millard County Commission in supporting that alternative route.
Are you talking Route A?
What's that? Route A.
Yeah.
It goes around behind the Gilsons.
Tell us why you don't support the original, you'd like the alternative.
The concern of the residents of Leamington is that it ruins our view shed. North of Leamington, it's a very beautiful scenic view of the Gilson Mountains. And if we put a power line, if a power line is placed right where they have that, that is right on the edge of those hills, on the top of those hills, those clay hills that goes across there. Now, that's all private property, or most all private property on, across there. So there is a zoning issue with the county, I would imagine, and we would seek your support in putting forth your idea to the BLM that you wouldn't support a change in zoning on that private property if push come to shove. Now, of course, you know, there's eminent domain and those kind of things, but I'm new to these ideas, and Adam might be able to help correct me in anything I've mentioned here.
Okay, I'll turn some time over to Adam and make a comment, if you'd like.
I just had a little bit of clarification. So the cross-tie project, this transmission line is a 500 kVA line. It's something not quite to the level, but maybe you could use as a basis. If you look at the STS, I mean, it's a substantial power line. It's not a small local transmission line. This is a very large transmission line. The project itself is, I believe, at this point, 50% Department of Energy. So it's, that they are going to choose a route, and they may or may not exercise eminent domain, but it's on the table. The questions that have come up with the route so far, and this is ongoing, this is the one that I believe Vicki mentioned, or Commissioner Lyman mentioned a while back. It's still in public comment period. We still have a couple weeks left of that comment period as they review the environmental impact statement, and they're going through the NEPA process. But the county has a corridor that's been lined out that's strictly for large utilities to pass through the county. And so, to the extent possible, we would ask that they would align with that. They may choose not to, because that route's down the county and then it comes back up if they were to follow what the county has outlined, at least part of it. It would be consistent if we asked that they follow the outlined portion for the extent possible, and that would include perhaps using the alternate route.
So the alternative route that they're suggesting is in the corridor that
It's
pretty much.
It's close. It's one where, obviously, the county's, as a cooperating agency, has a lot of pull. We have a seat at the table. They would like to have the county's input. They are likely not to follow exactly what the county has asked, because it adds a lot of miles. This is a very small deviation, which is around Leamington, and adds a couple miles. But to go clear down into Beaver, over, and then back up before exiting at the west side of the county.
But this is a small deviation.
The one that is being
Leamington's
referred
asking
to
for.
is a small deviation.
Okay.
I don't know that we would be able to really make the decision. In fact, I know we won't make the decision, they'll make the decision. But if we point out that we're already making some concessions, if they're not following the main route as they go out through the West Desert, we probably would have a little bit more influence to try to protect Leamington's scenic views. Particularly, it does run, if you look at the route, and I apologize, I don't have a map pulled up, but if you look, it runs for miles all the way along the north side of Leamington. It would be what they'd get to look at, and again, it's something more akin to the STS than a small line. It's going to be substantial. So, but it would be a comment from the commission, formal comment from this body requesting or expressing a preference on that route with the basis of why it would be preferential for Millard County to have that rerouted.
Comments, commissioners, you got questions
this-
or comments, or?
Would this alternate route go on any public, I mean, would it be on BLM or private?
There would be some BLM on that route, and I believe some private, because there is some
Would
sheep
Vincent's-
grazing over there that is private, and definitely some
You think if they
public.
went that route, that the property owners, the private owners would be willing to let them go across there?
No, they'd have to deal, I wouldn't know. Yeah.
Either route, there's private property probably, and they have to basically they have to,
They'll have to negotiate
if they
that.
can't get a negotiated deal, then they just do eminent
Yeah.
domain.
I just didn't know if they'd talked to people already on the one route, but not the other one.
So just where this is at in the process, they've come to the BLM, and they're working through, they know they're going to have to cross all the BLM properties. They have not come to the county yet. Clark's correct, there actually is a conditional use permit, there are some zoning things that would happen. Generally, they will try to coordinate and to match up. At the end of the day, they do have the ability to push through and to do it regardless, but they don't generally do that, especially our BLM, our local office over here in Fillmore, are excellent partners, and they make a great deal of effort to try to get things aligned to the extent possible and to work with the local communities to the extent possible. So we're going to have good support, but ultimately, they haven't come to ask for permission from us. They're still looking at which options, which routes. They're looking at the environmental impact and what will happen from different routes. And so they're doing an assessment right now. Eventually, they'll come to the county for more formal approvals when they have that route determined. Right now, it's just a discussion in a way.
Clark, do you happen to know if anybody has suggested that other route to them yet?
Well, I've talked with
It's an
her over there,
alternative.
and she
What's wrong
knows
with
that
that?
we want them to use that other route. It's one of their routes that they have on the website. The website and the open meetings are an important part of the BLM process to get feedback from the public. This last set of meetings, it was kind of problematic for us because it was very low attendance, but it, maybe one or two at those meetings, and the thing is, I seldom attend meetings I'm not aware of. It wasn't in the Millard County Chronicle from what we understand.
I think there might have been a glitch. I believe it was intended to be published
Right.
in the Chronicle. That's the BLM coordinating that, and
And so we missed an opportunity there to be at the meetings, of course. It was in the Salt Lake Tribune, but I don't carry that, so, but anyway, so this website has a comment area, and there's a meeting tonight at 6, I believe, that can be logged into, and some of the residents are going to log into that. And this website allows public comment, just right in there, meeting or not, and which is important. But I think where we missed those public meetings, we're going to need some extra help from you folks.
when they are evaluating the options on those routes, they do take the public comment very seriously, and especially if it's coming from an entity. It might be better to have a letter from Leamington Town rather than just from individuals, although both would be strongly encouraged and recommended. I've attended those coordinating meetings, and they take every comment, and they read them, they take them very seriously. They discuss the merit and the implications of every comment that is made. And so it is very valuable to have formal public comment received from them, or given to them, provided, so it can be evaluated. They will weigh that in. So, for the discussion.
Back to the commissioners, any questions? I guess, I think, in light of what I've heard here, we have an objection by Leamington, and you need to follow through, but I think it would be, in my opinion, ultimately, we might have some effect on the impact of it. I think if the county is willing, and at least I'm willing to support Leamington, because they're going to have to eventually come to us. And if we haven't had an objection previous to that, if we've had an objection, then we'll have a seat at the table. If we send a letter of support for Leamington, at least it gives us a seat at the table as they start dealing with us, puts us in a much better position. Of course, there's going to be lots of facts and figures of costs and that, what's determined, but I think this gives us, if we wrote a letter of support, I think it gives us a position at the table for going forward, so, to the commissioners, whether you feel any different or...
No, I guess the way I hope that it goes, or see that it could possibly go, is we could get them to take that alternate route, but then once they get out west about the power plant, instead of following our corridor, like Adam said, I think they're going to head straight west. But I think if we give them enough Leamington and enough support, I think they'll take that alternate route, but it's
Yeah, I
gonna be
think
a
we
little
should-
bit of give and take, because the other route really is, from, just guessing, I didn't map it out exactly, but they're having to go 50 miles down Highway 257 or 70 miles, then back, and then they're coming back another 70 miles, so it's, I think if we give them enough support, they'll go the A route, but they're also gonna come in and do what they want and save 100 plus miles down our corridor.
So what we're asking is you only change a portion of that alternate road, correct?
Yeah, and actually,
Yeah, not the whole,
they show,
just a portion going through Leamington.
yeah, there's actually a bunch of alternates. The first alternate is the one there's just the portion that would go around Leamington, and then there's other alternates that are farther down the line for other segments.
Yeah, which we,
So,
so Adam, could you help us formulate what we need to do to,
yeah.
any letters or anything like that?
It'll actually be through their website, and it would,
Okay.
Through B's or just for us to get on and?
yeah, I mean, maybe draft that first and then submit it.
So only on the website, we don't need to also send a letter to?
We could. It's not going to hurt.
Why don't we send a letter to,
If,
could you help us do that,
Yeah.
Adam? And that I'm assuming that through a discussion or an agreement to support Leamington and try to alternate that, and then you get what you need from the town, we'll support that, so.
Wonderful.
Anything else, Clark?
What's that?
Anything else? Or you good?
Got it covered.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
This needs to be done, like, soon?
yeah, there's a 45-day comment period, and we're like better than halfway through it at this point. So,
Okay, if you'll follow through and tell us what we need to do, Adam, and get that information to us, we'll just follow through and support it. So thank you. Thanks for coming in. Let me go on here. Any other business? Discussion of possible appointments to the, okay, Bonnie,
My leg's asleep.
Don't fall down.
you're not moving fast enough. Move like me.
So typically, we present...
Pull your mic up, get
Can you hear
close.
me? So we are presenting the pay period calendar, and all the holidays have already been approved, but what we have on here is we look and see the date of the holidays. Specifically, we're asking for closures the day after Thanksgiving in 2024, and a half a day on Christmas Eve, because Christmas is on a Wednesday. Usually it's pretty dead, and would like to send employees home. With these closures, they would have to use their personal leave. But, and then the same for New Year's Eve. So half day on the Tuesday, the 24th, and a half day on December 31st, Tuesday, and then the day after Thanksgiving. So,
Okay, discussion.
Do we make the
Need a
employees, do
motion?
they have to take?
if they don't want to take personal leave, they can stay and work, but the offices are closed down.
But the doors will be
You
shut.
do make them put 40 hours on their pay period.
Right.
So like if they wanted to leave and be like, well, I don't want to use my vacation for this, but I'll leave early, they don't have.
Yeah, so typically, when someone wants to go and leave without pay, the policy is they have to utilize any paid leave first. So they do have to take their paid leave. If this person's in a situation that they want to take time off without pay, that's possible too. So, depends on the supervisor.
More discussion, we need a motion, I guess.
I make a motion, we approve the requested time
Closures,
closures.
office closures, okay. And I think the clerk's office advertises those, so we'll just work with the clerk's office on that, so.
You have a second then?
Yep, I second
Have a
that
motion, a second. We approve the time closures. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Go ahead. Any other business?
We do need to convene as BOE again, sorry.
Okay, we'll
All right.
give me just a minute. We need to do a BOE? Okay, let's get down here. No other business.
Okay, I've got some.
You got some other
appointments and
business?
stuff.
Go ahead.
Oh, he's got,
I've got other business.
Okay, go ahead.
Apologize. Sorry. Just had a minor adjustment on the document, but the K. Hansen subdivision, fortunately, you're not going to see a lot of subdivisions in the future. Give it another year. And
That is where?
It's about 2,000 west and 1,000 east. It's a previously approved subdivision.
In Delta or?
Near Delta, yeah.
Okay.
And there was a small adjustment to a property line. So it's not a new subdivision, but they made a correction, and it is an amended plat. So it conforms to everything. They adjusted this one line up just a little bit, but once it's been platted, any changes to a plat have to be done on a plat. And so it's one that we wouldn't normally, it's not a subdivision, but it is an amendment to a plat. And it's, in order for it to be recorded, it does require the signature of this body or the approval of this body. I can show it to you.
Do I
But-
need to sign it? Do we need to sign it, or?
Yeah, we got to get signatures. But in effect, this line moved up a little bit into into the property to the north. It's Casey Bogue is the property owner, and the other, Troy Davis, thank you.
you don't see any problems with it, do you?
No, it conforms in every way. There's no changes to roads. It's an internal boundary, and it was basically, Mr. Bogue wanted to even up his acreage to an even exact acreage, and so there's a small adjustment, and again, it doesn't constitute a new subdivision, but it is amending a plat, so.
Okay, discussion, I need a motion to amend the plat.
I make a motion,
Do we need to identify what that is, Adam?
It's the K. Hansen minor subdivision,
Okay,
so
want
it's,
to make a motion?
I make a motion, we approve the amending of the K. Hansen subdivision.
I second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing,
and then
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Pat, are we good to send that other one to do it separate? Yeah. Do we need to do it under other business, or it's just a typo? Okay.
I'm just correcting that. It's obviously just a scrivener's error.
Yeah. We all missed it.
Okay, anything else? Any other business? Discussion, possible approval to various county boards. Okay, go ahead.
It was brought to, Clerk Rowley's attention. That, there will be an opening for the Delta Southern Oasis Cemetery District Board. And they would like to add Mackenzie Thompson as the board member.
Who's that? Kayla?
Mackenzie Thompson,
Okay,
Top, right?
Topham?
Topham.
Topham.
She didn't, Marky didn't know if it needed to be advertised or not, or if we're gonna have someone that they already have in mind, if the commission could just approve her appointment to the board.
Okay.
Starting January 1st, 2024.
Okay, discussion to that? Need a motion to approve.
She's been the caretaker of the Delta Cemetery. She's very well aware of what's going on and how the cemetery works, so I make the motion to approve her.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion second, we approve. Is it McKinsey Topham?
Yeah,
The
McKinsey.
cemetery board? Any more discussion?
She's a Howard.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
And then for the Special Service District number 8, we currently have, the previous Commissioner Draper was the commissioner over it, so we need to replace him. And we have.
we already did that, because I've been on there.
We
Yeah.
did it last year, but I would suggest hold off on this one because I think we're behind on all of them.
Well, we got to do them all. So,
We have 3 positions that need to be filled, the first of the year.
but there's no term limits on them. They could be filled
There
by
are
the one.
statutory term limits. They've taken them out of their bylaws, I think, but by statute, there still are. So I need to.
We need to look at that, because I asked that question last week, so,
Brandon just called me about that yesterday, and I told him I would look into it, so.
yeah, okay. I couldn't find any, I was dealing with the secretary, Melissa, I couldn't find any statutory. They have terms, but they don't have no limit on the number of terms. Is that not correct
I
then?
think that might be correct. It could, yeah, there's not a
Okay.
term limit. I'd-
Would you put that District 8 on for next time? Also, we have the media committee, there's 3 people that is not termed out there, but there's 2 of those that can be assigned, so, but we'll start working on that for next time, a replacement on the media committee. Okay? Any other discussions?
Somebody think Adam does too.
Okay, go ahead.
As far as appointed boards, our planning commission has several seats. Those are 3-year terms. And as they come to conclusion, those are required to be advertised, so we did advertise. We've had 2 additional people. Those who have seats that are expiring have expressed interest to continue serving or a willingness to continue serving. But we've had 2 additional individuals express interest also. What we've done previous is just have a short interview with this body, and then this body obviously appoints those seats. But they expire, so as of January 1st, we're going to lose, at least on paper, we're going to lose some of our members until those appointments are made. I'm just wondering if we can put that on the next commission agenda. And also just wanted to bring it up, put it on your radar that we've got to get those reappointments made or new appointments made.
Trevor, that's your assignment. Would you follow through with the interviews that need to be made, and then let us know if we might participate or not, but you, if you,
The interviews for planning commission have to be done in an open commission meeting.
in an open commission meeting? Okay.
So
I
you
think
can
that's,
just- So we just need to schedule them for next commission meeting?
that would be
Yes, what we've
preferable.
typically done is when we've had more people interested than spots, is we've just scheduled time at the end of the meeting, given them each about 10 minutes, 5 minutes. The commissioners have a list of questions just sort of general questions about planning and zoning, philosophy and different things. And then you score them, and then a decision is made.
Okay. Would you follow through and make sure we got the applicants and that they're advised when to be here and everything? Okay. All right, anything else on the
Yes.
appointments of boards? Commissioner Lyman.
Millard County Housing Authority several months ago advertised for applicants for their board. They needed at least 2 new members. We filled one a couple of months ago, but now they have asked Pat Manus if he would be willing to be on the board, and he has agreed to, so we need to approve that.
Okay. Any more, or just Pat?
And then the Drapers are no longer wanting to be the managers of Mount Catherine and the Sands Apartments. And so they opened that up, and they chose a new manager yesterday. And that's Jessica Anderson, and I guess we probably need to approve her too.
You don't need to approve her.
Oh, don't have to?
Our only input is just the board members.
Okay.
I mean, it's a little bit different than a special service district, but they can, and
Okay,
that board would be able to appoint her without our approval.
okay.
Okay, I have a
So we
motion
need
for
to
Pat.
approve Pat, yeah.
Okay, I have a motion for Pat. I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Is there any more? Pat, or do you have any, Pat, anything? Okay, all right, let's go on. Possible approval of applications for settlement of delinquent property tax. None. Discussion by each commissioner, county attorney, elected official, and secretary. None.
Oh, wait,
Okay.
I don't know if you guys got that letter from Reed, I can't think of his last name, that works with public lands. Anyway, he sent a letter, I got it a couple of days ago, talks about how usually the BLM will advertise when they want to make changes to policy, but for some reason, they've got some new idea where they're not going to have public comments. I just want you guys to be aware of that. And I don't know what all we can do, but right now, the BLM's just kind of doing whatever they feel like, and it seems like they're kind of listening to special interest groups that just want to shut down everything. And,
Well, they're trying to change some of the policies, and I think that we've sent some not the
Yeah.
county, but is there 6 county in that we've sent
yeah,
some.
and they just keep.
The state has sent some objections.
Yeah, I've got
And I
a
read
letter there
that.
that
Yeah,
4 states governors have signed that are
I
opposing
read
what
that,
they're
so.
trying to do.
I don't know if there's any, are you suggesting there's something we could do
I
beyond
don't,
that?
I know, I'm
Okay.
just trying to make you guys aware of what's going on.
All right,
And then also,
yeah,
sometime I think that the commissioners, we need to, I don't think the number of meetings that we are all going to is distributed very equally, and I'm just wondering if sometime we can look at the assignments again, and
You would do that in the first meeting in January.
I think we do that first meeting in
do
January.
we need to look at our list and write down how much time or how many meetings we need to go to kind of see?
I think we'll decide that's a,
I think that's a
all
great idea.
3 of us, yeah.
Just kind of get a sense, I mean, it should be equally formed, so if they feel like it's not, then yeah, that's that discussion. You know, we do a resolution in January that distributes those assignments, those executive assignments. Your legislative function is non-delegable, but the executive functions, most of them get delegated out to each of you individually, so I think that's a great idea to have that discussion and make sure we're trying to keep them as equal as possible.
Yeah, because everybody needs equal opportunity, right?
yes. But as Pat says, in January, every year, we have the ability to keep the same assignments, or the commission, we assign them, so with our agreement, we have the ability to change assignments or whatever we're doing, so,
I
okay?
just thought maybe ahead of time we should write down how many meetings we have, how often, or whatever, so we kind of know.
Okay. We'll go on, possible board of BOE discussion and our action. We have a BOE?
Yes, please.
How many we have? 1?
There's a few.
What's that?
There's a list.
A list, okay. I need a motion that we enter Board of
I
Equalization.
make a motion that we enter Board of Equalization.
Second.
I have a motion and a second that we enter the Board of Equalization. Any discussion of that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? So Vicki, go ahead and explain to us what we're doing, what you got here.
Okay, so the
The window for protest has closed. These are factual errors, so
These are all errors?
these are factual
They're not
errors.
adjusted?
Yeah, so there is an adjustment. People, as they've gotten their bills, are looking now. So the first one on the list is for Centro de la Familia de Utah, parcel number R-1645-1. This one was approved earlier in 2023 to be exempt. However, one of the abstract codes was carried over.
Didn't
And
get
so,
exempted.
yeah, so that was corrected. The next three, and then there's another one that's the second to the last on the list, that are just a correction from non-primary to primary. So those four are David Hare, parcel F-517-1-1, Tristan Baum, parcel M-1513-2, Jaren Tame, parcel F-FBLK20-3,
So are these
and
primary residences?
so it's
They are not
it was classified as non-primary,
non-primary.
and
they are.
it's being corrected to primary.
They didn't get their deduction.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then the
So they
last,
was non-primary, which would have been more, and then we corrected them to primary resident. Okay.
correct,
I'm
yes.
sorry, just trying
That's
to-
okay. That's okay. The fourth one, the last one that is the non-primary to primary correction is Stanley Christensen, parcel O-1476.
Okay.
So those four are the non-primary to primary
To primary,
correction.
okay.
Yes. Okay. And then the Cleaver, Sundali, and Bryan. This one is parcel D-NP-IV-2. This one, the house was put in with the wrong finish on the basement.
Okay.
So,
They just got the wrong information.
yeah,
on
according
that
to the
appraisal
assessor,
then.
yeah.
The appraisal should be different than what,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
The next one is Adam Vincent, parcel L-2250-1-1. This one, the house was not moved when the parcel was split. So this is just
Good.
correcting a factual error. That might be need an assessor explanation, but she's not here today.
Okay.
But I think when the parcel was split, the
somebody did it.
house was not moved to the right
So
place.
it's really on the other part
Yeah.
where it's not recorded.
So we want to be able to tax the house on it, because that's
Yes.
a large portion of the value. And the final one on the list is Willis Dutson. I think he's better known as Lambert. Parcel 0-3732-4-2. And this one, the house was missed on the building permit, and the assessor's office said that they have been watching this one, but it is you cannot see the house from the road, you have to actually be onto the property. So when the tax bill came, the homeowner notified that I don't think I'm being taxed for my house,
That's
because
pretty
the
good,
bill
Joe.
was very low.
Who is
And Lambert Dutson. And so the house,
You missed me, they felt left out, everybody else was complaining, and they didn't have nothing to complain about?
we are very, very grateful for honest taxpayers in
That's
the
awesome.
county, so,
We ought to make that person citizen of the month, huh?
yeah. So that is the list of factual errors. We are hoping, since the time to pay your tax bill has closed, that we hope this is the last of 2023's Board of Equalization, but please don't hold your breath.
All right, thank you very much to the commission for any explanations or questions or motions or.
Do we
What
call
do you
these
wanna do?
amendments? What do we call them?
Adjustments.
Adjustments?
Assessor adjustments.
I
that
make
are-
a motion that we accept these adjustments.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We accept the adjustments on the assessments and taxes. Any further discussion to that? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that's it. So I need a motion to move out to close BOE.
I make a motion that we close BOE.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion to close BOE? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. We need a couple more, I'm going on the next, possible review of county policies and contracts. We have here a contract that we have with the racetrack that we've been working on forever. I think Alicia has been the main attorney on this, and they've worked it out with the,
Which one is it?
The horse
It's the
race.
racetrack.
The horse track over here, the equestrian,
With Jerry?
yeah, with Jerry. It's
except
with,
it's another guy that signed it.
yeah, it's
It's his partner, I guess.
B&C Racing Stables, it is. So you should have got in your email. I don't know if you want to go over it, but we need an approval. We've had previous contracts up to now. What this does is state what they would pay us for, and basically the maintenance of the racetrack and that at certain times a year.
It basically pays $90 a week
Yeah,
for grooming.
for when we groom it, and then the other 6 months, if he wants it done, he has to do it or something like that. So I don't know whether you've seen all the details, so we need a discussion and approval or not approval of this contract.
I
Any
think it
comments?
looks fair to me.
I've been working on it a long time, so I need a motion.
I make a motion that we accept the contract with, what is it, BNC? Is it Racing?
Yep,
Can't remember, BNC Racing.
B&C Racing Stables LLC.
Yeah, that company.
I need a second. I have a motion, a second. We accept the Millard County Racetrack Maintenance Agreement contract. Any more discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. So, okay, thank you. The next item, Kayla, did we not get the signatures we need for the Economic Development Opportunity Grant? Did I see an email?
Been appraised of that, so I don't have anything.
I get that on my list, but I don't know where that come from. I think that was from Stuart, the $200,000 that we received. I'll have to follow. Pat, do you know anything about it at all?
I think just waiting for an electronic signature from you. I think the last email I saw, they weren't talking to Stuart. Stuart said he would follow up with you to get that.
Yeah, I did that, but I don't know. Maybe I didn't do it right.
That's the last.
Okay,
email.
all right,
Stuart's gonna follow up with you to get it.
I got something, so I did it, but maybe they didn't get it or something like that. I don't know. So we'll have to do that next time.
You got it.
Trevor, no, go ahead.
Pat, can you work with Elise on agreement with Fillmore City? She called you yesterday? Oh, she already sent it to you? Okay.
Awesome, good job.
If you can get,
I'll get circulated.
I know Kyle's the councilman over that, he'd like to.
And I'm gonna have it on the next meeting for approval. She just sent it
Okay.
to me today. I got it from her. Oh, we're meeting for it.
Okay.
It looks great.
Okay. Thank you.
We don't have a meeting for the CDA. Do we have anything, Pat, a closed meeting?
I know.
Okay. If not, any other business will adjourn. I might announce that at noon, we have an election canvass. We have a supervisors and elected officials meeting.
Just elected officials,
Pardon?
just elected officials.
Elected officials meeting. What time do you want to set that? We got to do the canvass at noon. Do you want to set it at 1?
Or can we do it now?
And we can do it now if everybody's doing it. That's gonna be fast.
Well, you're only going to have about,
He said he'll do it.
have we got to
fast.
be there at the canvass? We have to be there at noon?
Because it's technically open to the public, even if nobody shows up.
Okay, so can we do it in 15 minutes? I'm good, okay. Let's go ahead and do that. Would someone please contact the treasurer's office? Is that who